In the spring of 1817, the quiet English village of Almondsbury was forever changed by the arrival of a total stranger. A young woman was found wandering the streets in a state of complete confusion. She was dressed in clothes that looked nothing like anything the locals had ever seen. She wore a strange, elaborate black turban on her head. She walked with an air of mysterious, regal confidence. When she tried to speak, the sounds coming from her mouth were completely unrecognizable to anyone in the village. The local cobbler and his wife took her in, not knowing what else to do with such a bizarre guest. She refused to eat the food they offered her. Instead, she knelt down and prayed to a god that nobody recognized. She eventually started drawing pictures of tall palm trees and large, distant ships. The locals became convinced that she was royalty from a far-off, exotic island. Word of the mysterious visitor spread like wildfire across the entire region. Wealthy families rushed to the village just to catch a glimpse of the girl. They started calling her Princess Caraboo. She leaned into the role perfectly, acting as if she were of high, noble birth. A local man who had traveled the world claimed he could understand her strange language. He told everyone that she was a kidnapped princess who had escaped from pirates. The elites of society were completely captivated by her story. They brought her into their massive mansions and dressed her in the finest silks. She attended fancy parties and sat at the head of the dinner tables. Everyone was desperate to be in the presence of a real exotic princess. She didn't speak a word of English, making her mystery seem even more authentic to her followers. She kept the ruse going for months, living a life of absolute luxury. But the truth was already starting to unravel behind the scenes. A landlady at a boarding house in Bristol saw a picture of Princess Caraboo in a newspaper. She immediately recognized the face of the mysterious royal. She told the authorities that this princess was actually a woman named Mary Baker. Mary was a local girl from a poor family who had simply run away to create a better life. The police confronted her with the truth, and the entire house of cards collapsed. Mary eventually confessed that she had made up the language and the story from thin air. She had never even traveled outside of England in her entire life. The public was absolutely humiliated that they had been fooled by a simple village girl. The newspapers mocked the wealthy elite for being so easily duped. Mary didn't let the failure stop her, though. She actually tried to use her fame to make a living for a while. She even went to America to try and perform her act there, but it didn't go well. She eventually returned to England and lived a quiet life selling medicinal leeches. It is one of the most brilliant and bold hoaxes in the history of the 19th century. She had no weapons, no power, and no resources. All she had was her imagination and a very good performance. She proved that people will believe almost anything if it makes their lives seem a little more exciting. Her story is still a famous example of how easily the elite can be manipulated. She might have been a con artist, but she was definitely a legend. We still talk about her today because her audacity was truly unmatched. It is a reminder that history is often written by the people who have the best stories to tell. Even a poor village girl could become royalty if she played the game well enough. The hoax of Princess Caraboo remains a fascinating chapter of deception. She escaped the life she hated and lived like a queen, even if it was just for a short time. Her life was a masterpiece of make-believe. Did you know about the fake princess who fooled the wealthy elite of England? Let me know in the comments.